Great coffee morning, future comrades. Um, so, this will be the recorded lecture for our final topic about blood cell anomalies, which is your WBC anomalies. Ayan. Now, I realize na tomorrow will be your final examination for Hematology 1. Kaya, I'm making this recorded lecture part review, no? Before you take the exam, and also, uh, let's say, to serve as a supplemental material for your course. Now, magiging take ko dito is be a bit comprehensive, and then at the same time, right after every topic, i-synthesize ko yung mga ideas for you. Ayan. So, ang magiging purpose nitong recorded lecture is part-time discussion and then review para sa finals nyo. Okay? Now, I'm going to make sure na lahat ng mga sasabihin ko for this lecture is will be relevant to your final examination. And also, pwede nyo din siyang i-consult, say, even after your course in Hemo 1, let's say you're taking seminars or you're taking the assessment program for medical technology, pwede siyang balik-balikan. I-upload ko na lang siya dun sa drive natin na recorded lectures. So, ganun ha. Now, for your WBC anomalies, what I want you to understand, ang goal pa rin natin dito is the correlation of your CBC to your peripheral blood smear. So, i-establish muna natin yung fact na yan. Okay? Palagay ko dito ha. Now, ang primary goal natin is for you to be able to make a correlation. Correlation of what, sir? Correlation of the CBC result to your peripheral blood smear evaluation. So, yun pa rin yung goal natin. Now, pero since we're talking about white blood cells, medyo, syempre, magkakaroon ng konting differences between your red blood cell correlation with your WBC correlations. Now, establish muna natin yung facts. Now, what I want you to understand is that for your WBC anomalies, now, every now and then, palagi ko sinasabi sa inyo, sa Hematology 1, in real life, naka-automated na tayo, no? Now, for your automated hematology analyzers, they do not necessarily detect or, let's say, they are not able to identify WBC anomalies. Okay, huwag nyo kakalimutan yun, no? Kaya natin siya kailangang aralin. Come again, sir. So, lagay natin dito, no? Caveat of my automated blood cell analyzers. Caveat of my automated blood cell analyzers. Sige. They cannot or they do not detect or they cannot identify WBC anomalies. Ayan, WBC anomalies, especially yung category ng qualitative WBC anomalies. Okay po, anomalies. Ayan. So, one of the many reasons kung bakit mahalaga pa rin yung peripheral blood smear evaluation is for the identification of this anomaly. Yung mga qualitative WBC anomalies. Ayan. What about yung quantitative, sir? Now, syempre, so, kaya ko siya inihiwalay, guys. Kasi, lalagay ko dito maglagay ako dito ng subdivision na para merong linearity yung pinag-uusapan natin. So, yung mga quantitative WBC anomalies. Halimbawa, neutrophilia. Ayan. Neutropenia. Leukocytopenia or leukocytosis. Basopenia, di ba? Or eosinophilia or eosinopenia. Definitely, kaya siyang i-identify ng blood cell analyzers nyo, no? Kasi ang concern lang natin dito is the count, 'di ba? And as far as your blood cell analyzers goes, they can definitely count your blood cells. Alright? So, magiging highlight ng WBC anomalies natin is yung qualitative. Okay po? And also, di ba, even during our primers or yung mga primers or let's say yung mga preliminary discussions natin ng Hematology 1, yung mga quantitative WBC disorders natin, ang dali lang nilang i-interpret, di ba? Let's say, neutrophilia, di ba? So, what are the conditions associated with neutrophilia? Sabi ko sa inyo, they are most commonly associated with severe bacterial infections, di ba? Tumataas ang neutrophils sa blood ng patient nyo if they have bacterial infections. So, nandun na tayo. Kumbaga, madali. So, establish to. Na-establish na natin yun. Ngayon, i-expand natin. Ano-ano ba yung mga qualitative WBC anomalies? Okay? Now, yung qualitative WBC anomalies nyo po, nahati po siya sa tatlo. Okay? Ano-ano yung tatlo na yun, sir? Lalagay ko dito ha. Number 1, number 2, and number 3. Okay? By the way, guys, if you are having trouble, let's say, following dun sa recorded lecture na to, I know this can bore you a lot, diba? Niraran natin yung risk na ganun. Huwag kayong mag-alala kasi nasa reviewer nyo na yung lahat ng mga sinasabi ko and sasabihin ko as of now. Okay? Please consult your hematology blessing, page 39. Nandun po lahat ng mga sasabihin ko. Nakasynthesize na po yon for you. Gusto ko lang gawin ngayon, let's say, kompletuhin yung mind map nyo with these anomalies. Alright, so going back. Ano-ano yung tatlong qualitative WBC anomalies na yan, sir? So, kinakategorize natin sila according to, let's see, what part of your white blood cell may have encountered the abnormality or the dysfunction. So, ayun. Pakiulit, sir. Hinahati natin yung mga qualitative WBC anomalies nyo in terms of, let's see, what part of the cell may have encountered the anomaly. So ano lang yun, sir? So, lalagay natin dito, cytoplasmic anomaly. So, cytoplasmic anomalies or cytoplasmic changes. Ayan. Ano pa, sir? So, yung pangalawa is the nuclear abnormalities, no? So, nuclear anomalies. Nuclear anomalies. And then, yung last is, lalagay natin dito, abnormalities related to WBC functions. Okay? So, sa Tagalog, kapag ang white blood cell nyo merong anomaly or nagkaroon ng abnormal changes sa cytoplasm, these are your cytoplasmic WBC anomalies, di ba? Same logic applies with your nuclear anomalies. And then yung last, abnormalities related to your white blood cell functions. Okay? So, nandun tayo. Now, para i-summarize yung mga may encounter nyong conditions, now, hindi ko po i-cover lahat. Okay? I-cover ko po yung pinaka-common and then i-cover ko po most likely yung mga may encounter nyo sa exams, this finals, and then, let's see, sa future board exam nyo. How about that? Okay, sa nuclear anomalies nyo, dyan po pumapasok yung Pelger-Uwet, Pelger-Uwet anomaly, Pelger-Uwet anomaly. Ano pa, sir? Then we have the hypersegmentation. Ayan. And then yung last is the phimosis. Lalagay natin dito, phimosis or so yun yung phenomena, yung condition is, let's say, what if yung nucleus nga nung white blood cell nyo is phenotic. So, ayan, phimosis or phenotic nucleus. Ayan po. So, kaya ko inumpisahan sa nuclear anomalies kasi sila yung pinakakonte. Okay? Now, susunod is yung cytoplasmic anomalies. Sa cytoplasmic anomalies nyo, madali lang naman. Ano ba yung cytoplasmic anomalies na yan, sir? Now, for your cytoplasmic anomalies, now we have the DOLE bodies, DULE, whatever. As long as you know the spelling na. Now, dole bodies or dole inclusion bodies. Same lang po yan. Now, you have toxic granulation. Toxic granulations. Ayan. Ano pa? Cytoplasmic vacuolation. Cytoplasmic vacuolation. And then yung last is somehow what if merong intracellular organisms. Okay, could be bacteria, could be fungi. So, ayan. Unfortunately, I really don't think you can identify viruses using only light microscope. So, nandyan tayo. So, ayun yung clue nyo. Intracellular organisms, most likely, could be bacteria or could be fungi. Okay. And then yung last, for the abnormalities related to WBC function, you have the Alder-Riley anomaly. That is double L. Alder-Riley anomaly. Muntik na. Ano pa, sir? You have the Shijak-Higashi syndrome. Yan natin. Higashi syndrome. Ano pa, sir? You have the May-Heglin anomaly. May-Heglin anomaly. And then you have the chronic granulomatous disease. I hope familiar na kayo with chronic granulomatous disease. You have the leukocyte adhesion deficiency and you have the myeloperoxidase deficiency. Ulitin ko ha. Alder-Riley anomaly, Shijak-Higashi syndrome, May-Heglin anomaly, chronic granulomatous disease, leukocyte adhesion deficiency, myeloperoxidase deficiency. Okay, ito yung magiging last sa magiging usapan natin, no? Kasi this is where things gets a little bit more complicated kasi it demands from you na you know how your white blood cell works. Saan kung ba makukuha yung knowledges na yun, sir? Sa discussions nyo ng innate immunity, could be from immunology itself. Now, from our discussions from midterm, so nandyan. Now, huwag kayong mag-alala kasi bibigyan ko naman kayo ng shorthand approaches para dito sa mga conditions na to. Okay? So, isa lang ang hinihingi ko sa inyo ha. Habang pinapakinggan nyo tong recorded lecture, you need to keep your attention. You feel free to take down notes. Diba? And then, lastly, sinusulit ko na yung time na nagagawa ko pa to. Now, guys, alright. So na nga ako. Now, ayan. Sinusulit ko lang yung time na meron ako para somehow makatulong pa ako sa inyo, no? Now, paano yung tamang approach kung aralin mo tong WBC anomalies? Okay? So, bibigay ko muna yung mga key. No? Ito na naman tayo. Keys. Ano yan, sir? So, dito muna tayo sa abnormalities when it comes to your WBC cytoplasm. No? So, paano ba yan, sir? For your abnormalities in your white blood cell cytoplasm, number 1, they are often found in infectious states. Palagi natin na they are most often found in infectious states. So, what does it mean, sir? Diba sabi ko sa inyo na ang goal natin, nagko-correlate nga tayo, and then at the same time, palagi ko na lang sa inyong hina-highlight during our tutorial, sinasabi ko sa inyo na for these anomalies, paano ba sila makakatulong for the sake of patient's diagnosis, diba? Now, ang idea dito, pag nakakita ka ng abnormality sa cytoplasm ng white blood cell mo, it could be na there is an infectious, let's say, it is highly correlated with bacterial or fungal infection. Diba? So, ibig sabihin ba nun, sir, let's say, halimbawa, nakakita ako ng mga toxic granules sa cytoplasm ng white blood cell ko, could it mean na there is an infectious agent present sa bloodstream or somewhere in my patient's body? Most likely. So, ayan. Most often found in infectious state. So, ganun yung nangyari. Na? Now, sana nakuha niyo yung idea. So, lalagay natin dito na for your cytoplasmic anomalies, isa siyang reactive. It is a reactive or isa siyang reactive state. No? Meaning to say, there is a pathogenic agent na nandun sa body ng patient nyo. So, anong nangyayari, yung mga white blood cells, nagtatransform sila, or kung hindi man nagtatransform, nakaka-observe ka ng changes sa cytoplasm nila that indicates na meron ngang ganon, na there's an infectious state going on. So, magka-connect yung dalawang statement. Now, and also, ibig sabihin nun, pag na-resolve na yung infection, let's say, possible na mawawala na din yung cytoplasmic anomaly na na-observe mo during the time na present pa yung infectious substance. So, nandun yung element ng pagiging transient nung cytoplasmic anomaly na na-observe mo. 'Di ba? So, at the end, anong diagnostic significance ng identifying cytoplasmic abnormality? Now, the diagnostic significance for identifying this, the WBC, the cytoplasmic anomaly, is it prompts, lagyan natin dito, it prompts diagnosis, and so natin urgent treatment or immediate treatment, mabilisang treatment for life-threatening infections. For threatening infection. So, ganun siya ka-helpful. Diba? So, ito yung ideas, no? Most often found in infectious states. It is only reactive. It resolves itself. And the significance is mabilis ang diagnosis. It will prompt, let's say, it will direct, no? Immediate identification of what is going on. So, following that is urgent treatment. So, nandyan ka. Okay? So, yun yung kinyo for cytoplasmic abnormalities with your cytoplasm. Okay? What about, sir, yung nuclear abnormalities, sir? For your nuclear abnormalities, lalagyan natin dito na they are most commonly associated with proper WBC maturation. Alright. So, ganun lang sa nuclear abnormalities. So, anong key natin dito? Ang key mo dito, palagi mo babalikan yung facts na habang nagmamature ang white blood cells, kailangan, especially granulocytes, kailangan ma-produce yung proper segmentation. Okay po? So, yun yung natin dito, ha? You have to, let's say, to observe proper segmentation. So, yun yung vantage point mo. Ibig sabihin ba nun, sir, kapag let's say, halimbawa, sir, sa neutrophils, kailangan ang ma-observe ko lang ay, nagbigay ako ng specific na example, na, halimbawa, neutrophils, kailangan ang ma-observe mo lang ay 3 to 5 na segmentation. If sumobra ng 5, something very wrong is happening. Kapag hindi umabot ng 3, something very wrong is happening. Okay po, so ito yung key, ha. So, lalagay natin dito. Let's see, yung neutrophils nyo. Yung neutrophils. Ano yung normal segmentation ng nucleus nila? 3 to 5. Kapag less than 3, hyposegmentation. Kapag greater than 5, hypersegmentation. So, ibig sabihin, sir, merong associated conditions na naman dyan. Kapag hypo or hypersegmentation, definitely yes. Okay pa? And then yung last, isisingit ko na lang dito. What about functional abnormalities? Diba? Lagyan natin dito ha. Number 3, functional abnormalities. Lagi ko dito. Huwag nyo kakalimutan. Could be related in both of this. Ayan, no? Bakit? Kasi the structure will always determine the function of all of the cells present in your body. So, ganun yung idea. So, ibig sabihin, sir, pag naka-encounter ng abnormality sa cytoplasm, pag nagkaroon ng abnormality sa nucleus, pwede siya maka-affect sa function? Yes. Okay? So, ganun ha. Ganun yung idea natin sa functional abnormalities. Ibig sabihin, sir, may mga conditions na nabanggit kanina. So, dito sa mga conditions na to, na pwede kong makita dito or dito. Yes. So, ganun siya. Huwag kayong magpapalito, ha. Iisa-isahin ko naman. Okay? So, ganun. So, mag-reflect ka. 'Di ba? Palagi na lang natin pinapaulit-ulit, no? Simula nung nag-enter kayo ng course ng medtech na the structure of your cell will always determine its function. 'Di ba? The idea is, since ito abnormality sa cytoplasm, pwede siya maka-affect sa function. Ito abnormality sa nucleus, pwede siya maka-affect sa function. So, nagkakaroon ng significant degree of overlap kapag pinag-uusapan na natin ay functional abnormalities. Kaya yung mga conditions na nakapaloob dito, pwede nyong makita dun sa dalawa. Okay? So, dun papasok yung konting, strategic thinking, no? So, yun naman tayo palagi eh. Sige. So, magbibigay ako ng huling statement when it comes to this generalization. Para hindi kayo maliligaw, ha. Anong statement yan, sir, for your functional abnormalities? So, ganito na lang, ha. Ano yan, sir? Functional abnormalities ng mga white blood cells nyo. Number 1, they are almost always inherited. Almost always inherited. Number 2, they are always accompanied by cytoplasmic and or nuclear abnormality. So, yon. Ulit, for the functional abnormalities of your white blood cells, they are almost always inherited. Alam niyo na, palagi daw sila halos na mamana. And then, pangalawa, they are always accompanied by cytoplasmic or nuclear abnormality. Okay? So, nandyan guys. Screenshot natin kasi panalo yun. Okay. So, start na tayo proper. So, lalagay natin dito. So, start tayo with Alder-Rayleigh granulation. Kukunin ko siyang example para doon sa in-explain ko ngayon lang. Sabi sa PowerPoint nyo, yung Alder-Rayleigh granulation nyo daw, kasama siya sa class ng cytoplasmic abnormalities. Diba? Or cytoplasmic changes. Pero alam natin na ang Alder-Rayleigh nyo, meron siyang problem sa function. Okay? Or kabilang siya sa class ng inherited functional abnormalities with your white blood cells. Okay po? So, yun ha. Ulit, sir. So, ibig sabihin, sir, kapag meron akong Alder-Rayleigh, part siya ng cytoplasmic anomalies and at the same time, part din siya ng inherited functional WBC anomalies. Opo, yun po yung message. Okay? So, mamaya, i-relate ko sa inyo yung facts. Paano ba yan, sir? Now, for your Alder-Riley anomalies, now start tayo sa kung ano ba yung ma-observe mo with Alder-Riley anomalies. Large, dark staining, azurophilic. So, large, dark staining, metachromatic cytoplasmic granules. Kung hindi ka makarelate, ito yung picture, ito yung photo. Ayan. Composed of partially digested mucopolysaccharides. Partially digested mucopolysaccharides. So, ganito yung idea, guys, na. Now, eto tapusin muna natin. Ito daw yung mga associated conditions. Hunters, Hurlers, and then sabi ko sa inyo, dagdagan nyo ng Sanfilippo syndrome. Sanfilippo syndrome. Okay? Now, yung Sanfilippos, Hunters and Hurlers, collectively, they are called, these are your mucopolysaccharidoses. Kamalin, sir. Collectively, ang tawag daw sa kanya ay that's the bossing, mucopolysaccharidoses. Ayan. Bigay ko na nga lahat muna ng facts, no? Now, ang ibig sabihin ng kapag isa kang mucopolysaccharidoses, meron kang, lalagyan natin dito, abnormal accumulation of mucopolysaccharides in your white blood cells cytoplasm. Ayan. So, makukuha nyo na yung message dun sa ginawa ko, no? Ang nangyayari pala, kapag meron kang Alder-Riley granulation, meron ka daw large dark staining azurophilic metachromatic granules composed of partially digested mucopolysaccharides. Makikita mo daw siya sa Hunters, Hurlers, and Sanfilippo's syndrome. And then, yung mga diseases daw na to, collectively, they are called mucopolysaccharidoses. Kapag isa ka daw mucopolysaccharidoses, meron ka daw abnormal accumulation ng mucopolysaccharides sa cytoplasm mo. Now, pag-connect-connectin natin, ibig sabihin, sa mga sakit na to, guys, merong, sa mga disorders na to, what happens is, merong abnormal accumulation ng mucopolysaccharides doon sa cytoplasm ng white blood cells nyo, na ang itsura is ito. Okay? So, yun lang naman, no? So, I hope ngayon nakukuha nyo na siya. Now, merong question na mag-a-arise sa utak mo, which is, paano nangyari na nag-accumulate ang mucopolysaccharides sa loob ng mga white blood cells? Diba? So, yun, no? Now, nga sir, so paano pala ano palang schema? Bakit naipon sa loob yung mucopolysaccharides sa mga white blood cells ko? Now, think about it this way. Alam natin na ang mga white blood cells nyo, sila yung scavengers ng body nyo, di ba? Meaning to say, if may mga debris after ng inflammation, white blood cells yung magre-remove, di ba? If may mga debris or let's say mga dead cells following inflammation, sila din yung magre-remove, di ba? So, all of this leads to the fact na ang white blood cells nyo nagre-remove ng mga, let's say, ng mga nag-accumulate na substances, di ba? So, ayun yung idea sa mga white blood cells nyo. Paano natin siya i-relate sa Alder-Riley granulation? With your Alder-Riley granulation, so, ganito yung nangyari, ha? Lagay nyo nga sa mindset nyo, pwede siyang mangyari sa lahat ng white blood cells. No? All types of leukocytes. Ayan. So, what happens with my Alder-Riley granulation? Within your bone marrow, what happens is that if somehow nakuha mo, don't forget no, lahat sila inherited na. If na-inherit mo yung, let's say, yung gene responsible para magkaroon ka ng Alder-Riley granulation, what happens is, right after mag-store ng white blood cells nyo ng mucopolysaccharides, so nandan ha, right after mag-store ng white, or mag-scavenge, let's say, ng white blood cells nyo ng mucopolysaccharides, they're having a hard time degrading or digesting yung mucopolysaccharides na yon. Okay? Kaya tingnan nyo ha, yung Alder-Riley granules nyo daw, composed of partially digested mucopolysaccharides. No? This suggests na yung mga leukocytes nyo, especially leukocytes within the bone marrow, let's say, they were able to scavenge or collect mucopolysaccharides, pero they are having a hard time digesting these mucopolysaccharides. So, anong nature ng Alder-Riley granules na yan? They are made up of partially degraded mucopolysaccharides, okay, na nag-a-appear as large, dark-staining, azurophilic, metachromatic granules. Okay pa? So, sana habang in-explain, right after ko in-explain right now, naramdaman nyo yung felt sense na kaya siya nag-accumulate sa cytoplasm, mayroong problem sa granules. Kaya siya nag-accumulate sa cytoplasm, mayroong problem sa function ng cytoplasm ng... Alright, sorry, nahihirapan lang ako mag-phrase. So, ulitin ko. Sana habang ginagawa ko yung explanation, or right after ko mag-explain, nakuha niyo yung felt sense na kaya nagkaroon ng accumulation of partially digested mucopolysaccharides in human beings with the Alder-Riley granulation, as there is something wrong with the function of your white blood cells. Okay pa? So, ganun yung idea, ha? Now, the next is the Kajak-Higashi syndrome. So, what's wrong with my Kajak-Higashi syndrome? Okay? So, start ulit ako kung anong makikita mo sa mga white blood cells with Kajak-Higashi syndrome. Giant lysosomal granules in granulocytes, monocytes, and lymphocytes. Okay, so ano daw yung nangyari, sir? So, again, sabi ko sa inyo kanina ha, ang Kajak-Higashi inherited abnormality with your white blood cell function. Na ang result, may ma-observe kang cytoplasmic changes. Okay? Now, first of all, ano yung condition associated with your Kajak-Higashi granules? Makikita mo lang siya sa Kajak-Higashi syndrome. Okay? So, identify natin deep down what is wrong with persons with Kajak-Higashi syndrome. Okay? So, ganito ha. Now, ang problem with these patients is that nagkakaroon ng abnormal fusion with your primary and secondary granules. So, dun muna. Lalagay natin dito. Nagkakaroon ng abnormal fusion of primary and secondary white blood cell granules. Now, during our discussion, yung preliminary discussion natin about your white blood cells, sabi ko sa inyo, they have a lot of granules. They have 4 type of granules, diba? You have the primary, also known as the non-specific granules, secondary, which is your specific granules, meron din tayong tertiary granules, tapos meron din tayong secretory granules, diba? Now, ang idea with this syndrome, nagkakaroon ng fusion yung primary saka secondary disorders. what I need you to understand, kapag nag-fuse po yung dalawang granules na yan, hindi na sila magfa-function. Okay? So, ganun lang. Now, think about it this way. For most of these granules, ginagamit siya ng mga white blood cells in order to kill yung, let's say, yung na-engulf nilang bacteria. Diba? So, ganun. Come again, sir. Yung mga granules na to, ginagamit to ng mga white blood cells in order to kill ingested bacteria. Diba? Since nag-fuse na yung granules, hindi na siya makapag-participate do sa actual killing nung na-phagocytose na bacteria. Ano nangyayari with these patients? Nangyayari, so isipin nyo mabuti ha, oo, kaya nila mag-perform ng phagocytosis, pero yung magpa-perform ng killing, hindi niya na magawa kasi nagkaroon na ng fusion. Diba? So, ano kaya yung nangyayari with these patients na merong Kajiki-Higashi syndrome? Recurrent bacterial infection and bleeding issues. Okay, kukunin natin to. So, ayan. So, makaka-relate na kayo. So, think about it this way. Yung let's say, yung magpa-perform nung killing, which is yung granules, nawawala. So, kapag na-infect ka ng bacteria, pag na-infect ka ng bacteria, yung innate immune system mo, they are having a hard time killing the actual pathogenic agent. So, palagi ka na lang prone sa bacterial infection. Okay? So, ganun lang naman, no? Kaya usually, para sa mga patients na to, this is very rare. For this type of patients, usually, ang mortality nangyayari pa lang during infancy or childhood due to recurrent bacterial infection pa lang. Okay? So, now, since this is inherited, makaka-observe ka rin sa mga patients ito. So, ito, albinism and abnormal skin pigmentation. So, part na yun ng pagiging inherited niya, no? Now, nakalagay na lang natin din dito, no? Most commonly associated din yung Kajiki-Higashi sa neutropenia. Ano pa, sir? Sa thrombocytopenia. Neutropenia, thrombocytopenia. Ayun nga. Photophobia. Ayan. Silvery hair. Skin hypopigmentation, lymphadenopathy, saka hepatosplenomegaly. So, ayan, medyo dumami yung facts, no? So, mag-focus na lang kayo, ha, dito sa nauna ko sa inyong ibinigay, na dahil nag-fuse yung mga granules, hindi mapatay yung mga bacteria, pag na-infect ka, palagi ka na lang nai-infect. Okay? So, ano nga yung itsura, sir? Tingnan na lang dito, na, ayan, giant lysosomal granules within your granulocytes, monocytes, and lymphocytes. So, basically, that's how it works. Huh? So, medyo, ayan na, nagkakaroon na ng linearity yung mga pinag-uusapan natin. Now, susunod is the Dolly bodies. So, last na, for cytoplasmic changes, yes. So, Jordan's anomaly, simple lang naman, na kanina, mucopolysaccharides for your, ano nga condition yun? Alder-Riley. Ang Jordan's naman, fats. Yan, fat-containing vacuoles within granulocytes and monocytes. Muscular, ang associated condition ay muscular dystrophy and ichthyosis. Ang Jordan's, guys, yun yung, I wouldn't say rare, pero of all the things na mababanggit ko this morning, yun na yung pinakasimple, no? And then last is yung toxic granulation. For your toxic granulation, simple lang, no? Sabi ko sa inyo, this goes hand in hand with your Dolly bodies. So, ano naman yung itsura niya, sir? Large, dark staining granules within your neutrophils. So, ayan. Large, dark staining granules within your neutrophils. Anong color niyan? It ranges from blue to black. Ayan. Sige, bigyan ko ng adjective, bigyan ko ng mas proper na definition para hindi mo na lang din malimutan. Kasi, ito yung pinaka-common. Okay pa? Bigyan natin large, deeply large, deeply stained. Ano pa ba, sir? Blue to black. Blue to black. Primary granules in the cytoplasm of your neutrophils. Primary granules within the cytoplasm of your neutrophils. Okay po? So, ayan lang. So, yun lang. Saan ko siya palagi makikita, sir? Some severe infections. Ayan. Or, nakalagay dyan, chemical poison. Meron pa yung deeper, kung bakit nagkakaroon tayo ng toxic granulations. Pero I really don't think, hindi na, dapat pa natin pag-usapan. Kasi magiging counterproductive na tayo. Okay. So, maybe you can just give me a 5-minute break. Tapos magpo-proceed ako with the nuclear changes. Sir, parang ang dami pala nung mga dapat kong malaman tungkol dyan. Opo, pero nakasynthesize naman na yan sa reviewer nyo. Nakasynthesize na nga din sa PowerPoint nyo eh. Kumbaga, ang ginagawa ko lang approach is explain ko muna sa inyo para makuha nyo yung idea. How did it happen somehow? So, meron palang ganun. Meron palang inherited functional abnormalities na magre-result para maka-observe ka ng cytoplasmic changes or nuclear changes. So, doon na tayo papunta sa nuclear changes. Now, for your nuclear changes, madali lang to. Kasi, if I'm not mistaken, 3 lang sila. Now, dun muna tayo sa pinaka-simple, which is yung hypersegmented nucleus, or simple hypersegmentation. Now, normally, your neutrophils, they have 3 to 5 nuclear loops, di ba? Or yung nucleus nila nag-segment in 3 to 5 segments, let's say. Now, meron tayong criteria na ini-implement para masabi na ang na-observe nating phenomena ay hypersegmentation or hypersegmented nucleus. Okay? Now, yung criteria number 1 is yung madali. Na more than, if naka-observe ka daw ng neutrophils na mayroong more than 5 nuclear loops. So, ibig sabihin, 6 or more nuclear segments. Diba? 6 or more nuclear segments. Definitely, so lagyan natin 6 or more nuclear segments. Definitely, hypersegmentation yung na-observe natin. Okay? Now, another thing, and medyo, wag sana kayong malilito, no? Ano pa yung pangalawang criteria? Ito yung unang criteria. Yung pangalawang criteria, guys, is that if maka-observe ka daw ng 5, lagay ko dito ha, 5 or more neutrophils. Neutrophils yung pinag-uusapan natin ha. 5 or more neutrophils with 5 lobes. Okay. So, ngayon, kung nahihirapan kayong So, alam ko, sir, kumbaga kasi sabi mo kanina, 3 to 5 lobes. Tapos sinasabi mo sa akin ngayon, sir, pag nakakita ko ng ngayon naman, sir, pag nakakita ko ng 5 or mas marami pang neutrophil na merong 5 lobes, na-observe ko ba yung phenomena ay hypersegmentation? Opo. So, ganito mo siya aralin. Mag-focus ka muna dito kasi ito yung hindi mo na malilimutan kahit kailan, di ba? So, pag nakakita ako ng neutrophil na maraming segments, lumagpas ng 5, hypersegmentation yun. Kapag nakakita ako ng 5 o mas marami pang neutrophil na mayroong 5 lobes, hypersegmentation pa din yun. So, mag-refer ka na lang dun sa, let's say, isipin mo na lang, no? Kapag ito yung na-observe mo, papunta na siya dito. Ganon. Yung kumbaga, nakaka-observe ka na ng maraming neutrophil, na marami ng segments, no? So, ang susunod doon, ang ma-observe mo na, mga neutrophils na puro sobra na lang sa 5 yung segments. Okay? So, ganun. Bakit kailangan ng ganong klase ng criteria, sir? Kasi ganito. Although nag-implement tayo ng magkaibang criteria, isa lang ang ibig sabihin. Megaloblastic anemia. Okay? Doon ka lang palagi papunta. Ano ba yung tinatry mong i-identify? Megaloblastic anemia. So, ito na naman tayo, no? So, sabi ko sa inyo, kapag meron tayong megaloblastic anemia, hindi nagmamature yung mga blood cells natin properly. Okay? Na-discuss natin to sa red blood cell. Alright? What I want you to understand, for megaloblastic anemia, hindi lang po red blood cells yung naaapektuhan. Okay? Naaapektuhan din po yung maturation process ng white blood cells. Bakit, sir? So, ganito, no? Di ba ang megaloblastic anemia? Kasi kulang ka sa vitamin B12 and sa folic acid. Okay? So, kunin natin yung roots. Kaya nga nagkaroon ng megaloblastic anemia, wala ka ng vitamin B12 and folic acid, which is responsible for proper cell maturity. Diba? Proper cell maturity. It implies ngayon na kapag wala ka ng dalawang vitamins na to, hindi magmamature properly yung red cells mo, kaya ka magkakaroon ng megaloblastic anemia. And also, syempre, as far as cells goes, ang white blood cells nyo, cells din naman sila, di ba? So, kailangan din nila ng vitamin B12 saka folic acid. So, ang idea, ito yung idea na isang condition, which is your megaloblastic anemia, na ang root cause ay kulang ka ng vitamins na kailangan mo para mag-mature lahat ng cells mo. Kaya ang nangyayari, naapektuhan din yung mga white blood cells mo. Alright? So, ito na naman. Sabi ko sa inyo kanina, ano yung key natin dito? Kailangan ng white blood cells nyo habang nagmamature, magkaroon ng segmentation yung nucleus nila. Dahil hindi sila nagmamature properly, in this case, yung nucleus nila, no, sumobra ng segment. Okay po? So, ganun lang naman po siya, kasimple. Okay. And then, so, ganun lang na. So, susunod is yung Pelger-Hewitt anomaly. For your Pelger-Hewitt anomaly, now, isa po siyang inherited disorder. Pelger-Hewitt anomaly. Inherited disorder. Now, idea, if meron kang Pelger-Hewitt anomaly, simple lang naman, no? Your neutrophils does not segment beyond 2-lobe stage. Come again, sir? Kapag meron kang Pelger-Hewitt anomaly, your white blood cell does not segment beyond the 2-lobe stage. Okay? So, anong ma-observe mo sa mga tao merong Pelger-Hewitt anomaly? Pag tinignan mo yung mga white blood cells nila, ganito lang yung nuclear segmentation. Hindi lumagpas sa dalawa. Okay? So, how would you classify this characteristic? Hyposegmentation. Diba? So, ganun lang naman na. Now, ano daw yung characteristic ng, ano daw yung shape? Pince-Nez form. Ang pince-Nez, isa siyang style ng eyeglasses na walang, ano ba, yung, ano bang part yon, yung nagka-clamp sa outer ear nyo. So, ayan, ito yung pince-Nez eyeglasses. So, ayun, no? So, pakigamitan nyo na lang ng wonderful imagination nyo, guys. So, nandyan ka, no? Sige. Now, meron kayong ma-encounter na problem. Bakit, sir? Kasi, guys, ang Pelger-Hewitt anomaly nyo, nahati po siya sa dalawa. Okay? Ano yun, sir? So, sabihin na lang natin yung true Pelger-Hewitt anomaly. So, ayun, ito yun. So, true Pelger-Hewitt anomaly. Tapos, meron tayong tinatawag na pseudo Pelger-Hewitt anomaly. Lagyan lang natin dito. Meron kang dalawang types ng Pelger-Hewitt. Yung true Pelger-Hewitt anomaly. Tapos, yung pangalawa, yung pseudo Pelger-Hewitt or yung pseudo Pelger-Hewitt or yung acquired Pelger-Hewitt. Okay? Sipin nyo ha, yung totoong Pelger-Hewitt po, inherited kasi siya, diba, namamana. Yung pseudo Pelger-Hewitt, acquired siya. Meaning to say, acquired. Nakuha mo through your exposure sa environment or something na that is not present at birth. Okay? So, ngayon, people, yung pseudo Pelger-Hewitt, also known as the acquired Pelger-Hewitt, ito po yun, guys, ha, yung myelodysplastic syndrome. Okay, so ganito yung idea. Ibig sabihin, sir, kapag meron akong myelodysplastic syndrome, ang characteristic ng mga white blood cells ko, parang yung true Pelger-Hewitt. Opo. Okay? So, yun yung magiging source ng another source of magiging source of confusion nyo, ha? Now, meron po tayong criteria para ma-differentiate yung dalawa. Okay? So, i-ano muna natin, i-synthesize muna natin. Meron kang Pelger-Hewitt na ang itsura ng nucleus mo, hyposegmented. Mukha daw siyang pince-nez eyeglasses. Now, ang Pelger-Hewitt nyo daw, merong dalawang types. Yung totoo, which is inherited, meaning to say, this is present at birth, di ba? Meanwhile, yung kabilang side naman ng story, pseudo Pelger-Hewitt, so false Pelger-Hewitt, yun yung acquired na makikita mo sa myelodysplastic syndrome, sa mga pre-leukemias. Paano mo ma-differentiate yung dalawa? Okay? So, gagawa ako ng mas madali lang. So, sinisynthesize na natin. Lalagay ko dito sa taas is yung inherit, yung true. Lagay natin dito yung true. Lalagay natin dito yung pseudo. Okay, yung pseudo myelodysplastic syndrome, ito yung Pelger-Hewitt anomaly nga. Okay. Sa Pelger-Hewitt anomaly, so lalagay natin dito, ha. Less than 10% of neutrophils, less than 10% of neutrophils less than 10% of neutrophils displays without the presence of sa true Pelger-Hewitt nyo daw, guys, makaka-observe daw kayo ng less than 10% of neutrophils na merong normal segmentation. Okay? Kasi yung the rest, so the rest of your neutrophils, na sila, hyposegmented na sila. Okay? Tapos, wala ka daw makikitang immature cells. So, ngayon, may ako explain, ha. Doon muna ako sa kabilang side ng story. What about yung pseudo Pelger-Hewitt na ma-observe ko sa mga myelodysplastic syndromes or sa mga pre-leukemias ko? Now, lalagay ko dito, greater than 50% of your neutrophils. Greater than 50% of your neutrophils. Meron daw 3 or more nuclear lobes. 3 or more lobes. Tapos makakakita ka ng immature cells. Immature cells. Okay. Halos kalahati ng mga neutrophils mo, normal ang lobes. May mga immature cells. Okay, kunin ko muna yung, so ayan na, yun yung comparison natin na para ma-differentiate mo kung alin yung true saka yung alin yung false. Yung reason kung bakit, sipin nyo, so true Pelger-Hewitt, konti lang yung normal ang lobes. It makes sense kasi inherited nga siya, di ba? Yun yung namana mo, na hyposegmented yung neutrophils mo, di ba? Now, ngayon, dito, sa pseudo, wag nyo kalimutan yung context natin dito kapag meron kang Pelger-Hewitt, dalawa lang yung lobes. Diba? So, ibig sabihin nito, it makes sense. Mas marami yung dalawa lang yung lobes. Diba? Less than 10% yung merong normal na lobes. Dito naman, so, greater than 50% ng neutrophils, normal yung lobes. It makes sense. Kumbaga, wala namang totoong anomaly dito eh. 'Di ba? So nare-retain yung normal segmentation ng neutrophils. So, yun lang, 'di ba? Meanwhile, dito naman sa, dito tayo, wala daw immature cells. Saan ba lumalabas yung immature cells, sir? Sa mga leukemia, di ba? O dito, merong mga immature cells. Bakit? Kasi we're talking about pre-leukemia, di ba? Malapit na maging leukemia. So, ganon. Okay po, so yun yung criteria natin ha, para ma-differentiate nyo yung true Pelger-Hewitt sa not so true Pelger-Hewitt. Alright. Now, okay, so patapos na tayo. Now, dito tayo sa our rods. Now, guys, ito common din to, no? Kaya kailangan natin pag-usapan. So, ano po ba yung our rods? Sige. Dito medyo magfo-focus kayo sa itsura muna, no? Kasi pag nakita nyo to, something very wrong is happening. Okay, ang our rods, people. Makikita nyo dito sa picture natin. Yun, no? Our rods. Rods. So, linear rods. Linear projection of primary granules. Fused primary granules. Okay? Ito yung landmark nyo, ha? Saan lang daw sila nakikita? Monoblasts and myeloblasts. Sa mga immature white blood cells. Diba? So, ano yung associated na condition? Yung mga blood cells na prone sa cancer. Prone maka-encounter ng cancerous process. So, yun nga, mga immature blood cells. So, anong unang papasok sa isip mo? Acute monocytic or acute myelocytic leukemia. Leukemias. Okay? Ng mga baby monocytes or mga baby granulocytes. Okay? So, ayun, no? Sobrang straightforward lang ng our rods, ha? Huwag nyo na lang pong kakalimutan. Sige, now, for next is yung bar bodies. Ano naman, sir, yung mga bar bodies? Bar bodies. Review question from the boards. Ito lang, ha? Condensed inactive X chromosome. Condensed inactive X chromosome. Alright, so ayan, so small knob-like structures arising from the base of the nuclear lobe of neutrophils in females. In females. So ayan. So ganun lang po kasimple, no? Ayun lang siya. Kaya siya tinawag na bar body. Pansinin niyo, naka-attach sa nuclear lobes ng neutrophils nyo. Saan mo lang daw siya makikita? In females. It represent what? Inactive X chromosome. So, meron kasi yung guys, meron siyang background from your female genetics, no? There are times, actually, lumalabas lang to in less than 5% ng mga neutrophils in females. Now, the idea is, the females have 2 copies of X chromosome, which we all know about. What's up with that, sir? So, let's say, for example, female ka, meron kang 2 copy ng X chromosome. Yung second copy mo ng X chromosome, ang characteristic niya is heterochromatic. Lagay na lang natin dito, ano? So, mayroon kang XX. Ito, sa mga females, heterochromatic. Heterochromatic. Ano ibig sabihin nun, sir? Heterogeneous, no? Different staining pattern. Ayan. Now, the idea is, yung second X chromosome ng females, ayun nga, meron siyang part na light staining, meron siyang part na dark staining. Tapos, another, let's say, morphology characteristic nung pangalawang X chromosome nito is that nagpo-form siya ng maliit na lobe. Okay? Ang tawag doon, bar body. Sa ibang textbooks, tawag doon, drumstick. Ayan. So, may clinical significance ba yan? So, wala. Isa lang siyang interesting facts about the female genetics, let's say. Okay. So, yun lang. Now, for your smudge cells or basket cell, simple lang. Bibigay ko yung these are nuclear, magkaiba kasi yun. Sige, lagay ko na nga, smudge cells, saka basket cell. Magkaiba yun. Nasa reviewer nyo yun, guys. Pakibasa nyo na lang. Pero, they are just nuclear remnants. No? Meaning to say, kapag nag-disintegrate yung white blood cells nyo, syempre, masisira yung nucleus. Ito, tingnan nyo. Masisira muna yung cytoplasm, tapos masisira yung nucleus. Okay? Ang smudge cell, nuclear remnants ng lymphocytes. Nuclear remnants of lymphocytes. Nuclear remnants of lymphocytes. Ang basket cell, nuclear remnants ng granulocytes. Ganoon lang naman, no? Granulocytes. So, pag nasira ang lymphocytes, yung matitirang nucleus, smudge cell. Pag nasira ang granulocytes, yung matitirang nucleus, ang tawag basket cell. Okay? Siguro kaya nilagay dito magkasama sa PowerPoint kasi pareho naman sila ng general characteristic. Okay? They look like thumbprint. No? They are structureless. Ayan. So, ganun lang naman. Now, meron siyang meron siyang isang clinical significance. Makikita mo doon siya sa chronic lymphocytic leukemia. Chronic lymphocytic leukemia, CLL. Okay, bakit ba ganun, sir? Isipin mo, kapag meron kang chronic lymphocytic leukemia, lymphocytic leukemia, madaming white blood cell, tapos ang nature niya mga lymphocytes. Syempre, isipin mo, marami kang white blood cells and in their nature, they are lymphocytes. So, kapag nasisira yung mga lymphocytes na yon, ano makikita mo? Mga smudge cell. So, kapag ang pasyente mo merong chronic lymphocytic leukemia, ano pwede mong makita sa kanila? Mga smudge cells. Ganon. Okay. Now, pwede mo siyang ma-observe during peripheral blood smears preparation. Yun yung hindi pathologic cause ng smudge cell. Okay? So, ayan, kumbaga, pwede silang artifacts, pwede silang mag-point to a particular, I would say, rather severe condition. Okay? Huwag kayong mag-alala kasi hindi naman siya ginagawang basis para sa diagnosis ng CLL. Okay po? Kumbaga, if alam mo na may CLL yung pasyente mo, you can expect na makaka-observe ka ng smudge cells. That's how the story works. Okay? Now, so, sunod is yung Rider cell. Rider cell. What's up with my Rider cell, sir? Board exam question, clover leaf-like appearance. Hindi na kayo malilito kasi siya lang po yung ganun. Ha? Ayun, no? Ayun, makikita nyo. Clover leaf-like appearance. Ayan. Saan mo daw siya ma-observe? Sa chronic lymphocytic leukemias. Again, kaya alam ko na kung bakit siya magkasama sa isang slide. Kasi pareho mo silang makikita sa CLL and if somehow, pwede mo rin silang ma-observe as an artifacts. Okay pa? So ayan. Now, I'm really sorry na hindi ko siya pwede mabigyan ng context kasi baka hindi na matapos yung recorded lecture. It's not like I'm going to discuss chronic lymphocytic leukemia with this one. Now, last. These are, so for your hairy cells, saka downy cells, ma-observe nyo sila sa specific na conditions. So, hindi na kayo mag-iisip. So, yun yung message natin. Now, start ako sa hairy cells. Now, alam nyo, kaya siya tinawag na hairy cells kasi these are small lymphocytes with little cytoplasmic projection. Yun yung ikina-hair niya. Ayan, tingnan nyo yung lymphocytes. Lymphocytes with small hair-like projections. Ganun, saan mo siya makikita? Sa hairy cell leukemia. Ayan. Idadagdag pa ba tayo? Now, nasa reviewer nyo naman, no? Ang primary, sabihin na lang natin, sa lab, para ma-identify mo kung hairy cell siya, trap positive. Ano ba yan, sir? Isa siyang test, no? Nagagamit ka ng tinatawag na tartrate resistant acid phosphatase. Acid phosphatase. Don't worry, hindi masyado na advanced, no? So, hopefully next semester mapapag-usapan nyo naman yan. Ayan. Now, hair cell and downy cell, ano nga sila, no? They point to a specific condition. So, ang hair cell, sa hair cell leukemia, so doon naman tayo sa downy cell, sa cytomegalovirus and EBV infections. Okay. Now, ang downy cell nyo, downy cell. Ayan. Atypical lymphocytes with larger amounts of cytoplasm. Obvious naman, no? Ayan, no? Saan daw siya associated? Sa cytomegalovirus and Epstein-Barr virus. Causative agent ng infectious mononucleosis. Hindi natin gagalawin, no? Kasi nga, these are viruses that can also cause neoplastic changes sa blood cells nyo. They can also cause blood cancers. That's just saying. So, nandun na lang tayo, no? So, technically, kaya siya magkasama sa isang slide kasi both of them are associated with malignant conditions. Alright, so that sums up your white blood cell anomalies. So, hinimay ko para sa inyo, ha? Somehow, guys, ito, let's say, halimbawa, ako as a student, hindi ko rin naman siya makukuha ng isang aralan lang. No? Kasi, bawa ngayon, yung mga nandun sa PowerPoint nyo, nalalaman nyo, meron pala silang dapat magkaroon ng point of distinction, point of comparison, alam nyo na, meron pala silang differences. Okay. So, I would suggest na pag-aaralin nyo siya, ganun pa rin yung approach natin. Alamin nyo muna kung ano itsura, yun nga yung goal. I-correlate nyo muna sa condition, and in order for you to do that, you have to know what is what really is going on behind this anomalies. Okay. Hindi ko kayang i-oversell sa inyo kung gaano kahalaga to, kasi nga papasin nyo medyo nagiging mabigat na yung usapan, di ba? Nagkakaroon ng mga disorders, and given yon kasi nga primer nyo to para sa mga susunod yung journeys sa hematology. Okay? So, konting tiyaga lang. If may hirapan, ganun talaga. Well, that really is a part of it. No? Sabi nga ng universe, I'm really sorry if I had to make you uncomfortable. Otherwise, you would have never moved. Bye.